Welcome to the Awecast, where we dive deep into what makes you truly awesome. I'm your host, Dorchester Koning, founder of Awe Academy. In every episode, we explore the power of awe, not just as a feeling, but as a tool that transforms how we learn, grow, lead, live, and love. As each guest shares what sparks their curiosity and how they work with wonder, we connect with a deeper sense of awe. So, take a breath and get ready for some interpersonal magic. Welcome to the Awecast. Hello to you, Miss Wondersmith.
Good morning,
Good
Annie.
morning. It's so lovely to see you also wearing your crown.
Yeah, dressed for the occasion.
Great, I'm really happy. And I did the same, although one side of my headdress will not really show. So I'm just using one. So I have been admiring your work for years now and following you on Patreon and other platforms that you've been on, sharing your amazing sculptural work, so ceramics, art, as well as your recipes, as well as your gatherings and the way you host intimate gatherings for strangers, and you bring them together at these amazing experience designs, basically. And you concoct all of this and you kind of brew it and then do it, which I admire greatly about you. And I'd love to get into more of that later. But that's how I found out about your existence. And yeah, I've been really a great fan of yours. So I'm so pleased.
I'm very honored.
So when it comes to awe in your life, I am pretty sure that you're very familiar with awe, and I would love to hear about how awe feels to you. What is it to you?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I mean, as Miss Wondersmith, obviously, I have a very big love and fixation on wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been thinking, like, what's the difference between awe and wonder? And I think to me, awe feels like something greater than yourself. It's like seeing the immensity of the ocean for the first time, or like feeling sort of small and dwarfed, but in a good way.
Mm.
And I think wonder is something I experience on a more like macro level of like um little things that bring me joy that like you might notice dewdrops on a mushroom or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And so I think the two, there's a lot of overlap for me, but I think awe is that like that feeling of like something immense,
Mm.
amazing.
So larger than yourself or larger than your own circles, it can go, it can expand way further than that.
Yeah.
I love that. When do you feel that you got acquainted with awe first in your life?
Mhm. That is a good question. Um, I'm not sure when I first got acquainted with it in childhood, but
Mm,
I do remember a very pivotal moment as a young adult, um, where it was my first time seeing a big winter storm on the coast
mhm,
and seeing these waves that were just, I mean, they were huge. They were like 20, 30-foot waves come
yeah.
crashing in on this beach that I like to go to look at the tide pools. And I remember just feeling so dwarfed by the
Mm,
ocean
mm,
and so like intensely aware of the power of the ocean.
mm,
And um, I had a phrase pop into my mind, the ocean remembers all she gives and she takes.
mm,
Just thinking about like how many secrets are under there and how much like life is in there. And it was sort of like overwhelming in a way that made me feel both connected and tiny, if that
mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And you were a young adult, so I imagine you were still figuring out your place in the world, what you were to do with your precious life, um, navigating complexities as your world grows as a young person. How did you find your way to what you're doing right now, being Miss Wondersmith and bringing all the wonder to the world?
Um, it's funny you ask because that was actually the year that I was sort of developing into Miss Wondersmith. Like
Mm.
it was a few months later that I did my first official Miss Wondersmith gathering. Um, and I'm trying to figure out how to tell the story in a short way.
You can elaborate, doesn't matter.
Okay. Um, well, when I was in junior high, I did an art report on an artist called Dale Chihuly,
Mhm.
and I picked him off the list just because his name sounded cool.
You like the ring of it?
Exactly.
Nice.
And a lot of people are familiar with Dale Chihuly. It's sort of like the connection to the glass art world for a lot of people. It's like the name, like if you know one glass artist, it's him.
All right.
And he just getting into researching about glass blowing, I was fascinated. And I found a local woman willing to sort of take me on as an apprentice to learn um, like flame working, like bead making on a torch. So different process, but I fell in love with molten glass. Um, it takes so much focus
Mm.
that you can't have a busy brain.
Mm.
And as someone with undiagnosed ADHD at the time, it was really grounding and centering when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I had to follow that love. I had to know what glass blowing was like. So I went to college in Alberta, Canada,
Mhm.
and studied glass blowing. And I really loved the idea of making functional vessels that had like a texture to touch.
Mhm.
But the problem was at my critiques, nobody was picking up the glass and feeling it because it's glass, it's
Yeah.
precious, it's breakable.
Yes. And
Um,
normally you're not allowed, right? So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so in my glass critiques, sometimes people would touch things, but if I was doing a glass project for another class, nobody would touch it, even if
Mhm.
I was like, please touch it. So then I decided to put food in it, and suddenly it was not a problem. Everybody
Wow.
was like,
Yes.
touching it, and I was thinking about how the vessel informed the experience of eating. So, like serving a seafood dish in something that had barnacles all over the outside.
Mhm.
So you sort of immerse yourself further. And then I realized that I was really interested in not just making the vessels and food, but the interactions. I
Mhm.
really liked seeing how people interacted, how they responded to using unusual vessels, um, and I sort of started hosting these gatherings just for my classmates and professors and friends.
Mhm.
And I would sort of view each one as an experiment of just like, what's going to happen if I put this out there? And unfortunately, I got too ill to finish my degree, so I dropped out at the end of my third year.
Mhm.
Um, and that summer was a very intense summer,
Mhm.
uh, near death experience,
Wow.
like very, very ill.
Mm.
And as I was coming out of that, I wanted to get back into hosting these gatherings. And so I did, but to be able to afford to, I had to start charging.
Yes.
And because they were these like a one-off art gatherings, to even break even on the cost of supplies, not even like counting my time and effort, I had to charge a lot.
Mm.
And I it made me really self-conscious, and it made me feel like sometimes the guests felt really entitled.
Mm.
But the biggest issue for me, I think, was that like I couldn't have afforded to attend one of these
Right.
events. My
Yeah.
peers couldn't afford to attend these events. Like
Yeah.
only people in a totally different socioeconomic class could come. And and that really bothered me. So after an event where that I felt like people that were there for clout more than to be present,
Mm.
I was feeling really discouraged and not sure what to do.
Mm.
Um, and so I decided to just throw some invitations in the woods and see what happened. And
Very cool.
I used art I already had, and I foraged most of the ingredients. So the grocery bill was really low.
Yeah.
And I I was like, I want to invite people that are curious.
Yes.
I want to invite people that are like me, that like will investigate things.
Hmm.
So I got some fake ferns and I painted them purple and I
Hmm.
wrote an invitation on them. And then I put them out in clusters of regular ferns just off of my favorite hiking trail because I wanted the kind of people who are like, why is that fern purple? I'm gonna go
Yes.
check that out.
Yes.
And it was
So,
amazing. The feeling was so different. It was
mhm.
so beautiful
Mm.
and just this wide cross section of ages and backgrounds. And I remember sitting on my back porch with like tears in my eyes
Mm.
after everybody left and just being like, that felt like the opposite of charging for these events. Like that felt soul nourishing and
Yeah.
was very determined to figure out a way to keep doing them.
Wow, I love how you reward people's curiosity because if they're curious enough to walk over to the purple fern and go, wait a minute, what is that? They are very likely to find an invitation. And then if they're curious enough, they will actually follow up the invitation and come to the gathering. I mean, how cool is that? And it takes quite a bit of courage because you don't know who it is, and it might be somebody scary or it might be some hoax or you don't know, right? But the way you
Yeah.
invite people, and there is a wide variety of people that actually show up. I love that. It really shows that a beauty of our humanity, the way we are actually just little animals sniffing around and kind of
Yeah.
finding new things to experience. So I love that a lot.
I think that using the format of hidden invitations,
Hmm.
you know, I think about where to hide the invitation based on like what sort of the feeling I want to evoke is.
Hmm.
So, like if I want like an event I did last year, I wanted to give people the discovery of something magical in the mundane.
Hmm.
So I made these cardboard cans that looked like tin cans, but were obviously not tin cans.
Yeah.
And I put a little piece of artwork inside and an invitation and made like a label for them that was a little bit weird. You know, it was like canned wonder or something like
Oh,
that.
super cool.
And I hid it in grocery stores behind other cans. I was so worried I was gonna get caught doing it. And I made sure that like I was opening my bag really wide so any of the grocery store cameras would see that I was not taking things, I was emptying things.
Love that.
There was a lot of adrenaline involved in that for me. And I especially tried to seek out like sort of the bargain stuff,
Hmm.
not the bougie stuff.
Oh, so
Because
good.
I wanted to reach people who maybe wouldn't otherwise take themselves on a fun adventure, like
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to afford it.
Mm.
And then I convinced them to drive a little bit outside of town to a random pullout, and then I led them into a lava tube cave that I had decorated, and we had this amazing feast in the cave.
Wow, amazing. So when you organize these things, do you do this all by yourself or do you have some support from people around you that help you with
transporting stuff, decorating, baking, putting all the amazing pottery that you do or ceramics, the plates, the spoons, the cups, you pay so much attention to detail. And anybody who's listening, please look up Miss Wondersmith because it is amazing footage as well. So do you do this all by yourself or most of it, or how does this work logistically?
I do the planning by myself. I do have a health condition that has been getting progressively worse
Mm,
and will continue to get progressively worse. So I've needed to ask for more and more help from friends and family.
yeah,
Typically, I'll have a photographer there who's usually my wife. But
great.
if she's going to attend as a guest or if she's sort of part of the experience, I'll find another friend to be the photographer. And yeah, I just sort of ask friends and family if they're able to come help me
Mm,
just logistically moving chairs and tables. I can't really do that.
yeah.
So, and last summer I actually had my first apprentice. She reached out and was like, I'm at a pivotal moment in my life. I'm trying to figure out where to go next. I want to see what it's like to be a full-time artist. Can
Mm,
I come um, rent a place near you and be your apprentice for 6 weeks? And I was like, I had a good feeling about her, and I
yeah,
was like, all right, let's do it. And
so
so
cool.
she was incredibly helpful in doing that event and preparing for some other ones too.
Mm,
So yeah, it's I would love to someday transition to being more of the designer and having a like paid team that can pull off the events because
yeah,
it's becoming too difficult for me to do it anymore.
yeah.
Mm. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah. And so, in terms of making a living and being able to pay other people, how does this work for you right now?
Well, I can't afford to pay other people. I would love to be able to pay other people.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, all the help that I get is volunteer, and my my wife is like my number one helper slash cheerleader.
Oh, that's great. So good
But
to
yeah,
have support so nearby and one that loves you and loves your work and sees the value you wish to bring to the world and will support that with everything she has, you know.
and she sees how it impacts people too. Like I think that she would be there even if we weren't married, even if we weren't romantically involved.
Mhm.
She's as passionate about seeing how strongly it impacts guests as I am. So it's really lovely to have someone to sort of debrief with after each gathering.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
and do you also get the after exhibition slump? You know, the artists know this. When you prepare for something, you work towards it, everything goes into that, and then it happens and it's amazing. And then after that, you get the slump. You get this few days of feeling absolutely awful.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to do a lot of I have to plan very carefully to include a lot of rest
Mm.
in like the couple days before an event, which is very counterintuitive to doing an event.
Yes.
And then yeah, I'm just down for the count for a few days after each one.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. That's just something I plan into it.
Yeah.
And those days can often be quite painful, but it's still worth it to me.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
finding that balance.
And is there anything people can do to help you in those moments, or are you kind of like, leave me alone, I need my downtime just to recover from what I've been doing?
You know, I used to have pretty strong depression that would accompany the physical pain.
Mm,
But over the years, as I've gotten used to the physical pain, um, my my mental state is pretty good still.
wow.
So I really love being able to spend the day after like snuggled in bed and talking about our favorite parts of the event, our favorite moments,
Mm,
thinking about something other than how I'm physically feeling.
right.
And then the other way that I cope with pain is creating. I mean, if I'm in too much pain to physically create, I'm probably dreaming something else up
Hmm.
and hyper fixating on like some other way that I want to share magic. And that, so it's sort of like from one event to the next very quickly in
Mm.
terms of how I think about it.
Yeah.
Um, but then, of course, I have to make all the pieces and all the parts have to come together. And
Yeah.
so it's not back to back, but
Yeah.
it is back to back in my mind.
In your creative sphere, like I think there's always something brewing. Because
Oh.
when I see your projects, like the things you post some are from years ago, others are more recent, but all the time there is a constant flux. I feel like there's a constant pulse, and I really appreciate and admire that in your way of life. You create space for it, and also it's your lifeline. It seems
Mhm.
like it's something you really need to keep going because it helps you deal with the pain that you suffer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's my biggest coping mechanism is creativity for sure. And
Yeah.
there's usually more ideas bouncing around in my brain than I could do in a lifetime. So it's about prioritizing
Yes.
um, and sort of saying like, thank you for being here, but I don't think I'm the person to make this happen.
Can you
You
land
know,
on somebody else this time?
exactly.
Yes. So this
Yeah.
is how creativity works for you. You feel like it visits you and it kind of sits on you, and then if you take it, it will stay with you. If you don't, then it will fly off to somebody else.
Yeah, so when I read the book Big Magic
Yes.
by Elizabeth Gilbert, I absolutely loved how she described ideas as like entities
Yes.
that would come visit.
Yeah.
And I feel like my brain must be fairly receptive or like the word's gotten around that I'm good to work with or
Yeah.
something because I have this waiting room of ideas.
Yeah.
Um like okay, I would really love to work with you, but we're gonna have to wait a little while because I'm pretty backed up. And so let's if you're willing to wait for me, stick around. But otherwise, I understand if you need to flutter off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Um and I've been in a big transition personally in the
Mm.
last couple years where I felt like I'm entering a new era of what it means to be Miss Wondersmith.
Ah, please elaborate.
Well, I had a pretty intense realization this spring. I got really sick for a couple months,
Mm.
and we finally found out it was wrong. It was a mistake at the pharmacy, and I was taking the wrong dose of a medication.
Oh my gosh.
So
Just
it was
human error.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it was I'd been to the emergency room multiple times. We'd had a ton of tests done. We couldn't
Mm.
figure out what was going on. And then it was that. And there was a bit of frustration, but mostly relief because the next thing we were going to do was exploratory surgery.
Mm.
So
Wow.
we sort of caught it just in time to prevent having to go through surgery. So, but I do feel like the timing of being very ill during this time period was important because I I sort of had this some part of myself said like, why do you do something that hurts you so much?
Mm.
And when I started doing events, I was struggling with chronic health issues, but at the time I didn't know that they were incurable.
Hmm.
And so I thought, I'll start this now, and then when I get better, I can, do them more often or make them bigger.
Yeah.
But my reality has been that my illness has progressed.
Mm.
I know now that it's genetic, it's
Mm.
incurable. I have hope for better symptom management.
Mhm.
Um, but I do need to be sort of realistic of the demands on my body
Yeah.
and showing up on a specific day able to do something is hard.
Mhm.
Um, probably most people with chronic illness know that frustration of not being able to predict how you'll be feeling.
Right. Yeah.
And there are some things I can do. I can take my medication, which I don't like to do very often, but that's what it's there for. I can rest beforehand, but um, sometimes I am in a flare-up so bad that no matter what I do, I just can't function.
Mm.
I couldn't show up and be present.
Right.
Um, and a lot of times at events, I'm masking very hard
Mm.
because I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I don't really realize how much I'm masking until afterwards, and then it's like, boom, hit with a train.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been a fun place to be though, because I've been thinking like, okay, if events are no longer sort of my main focus, where do I go from here?
Mm.
And um, I have a lot of the same feelings that I did 10 years ago in the year that I was figuring out how to be Miss Wondersmith of like, there's a path over here, there's a path over here, there's a path over here, like spoiled for choices.
Yeah.
And I think I've identified a few paths that feel really good.
Hmm.
And one of them is I think I'm ready to enter my treasure era.
Okay. What does that
Uh,
mean?
so so a big reason that I started doing these events in the first place is that I wanted to live in a world where like you would go on a walk in the woods and get invited to a fairy party.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh, I can just do that. Like there's nothing stopping me from putting invitations in the woods and having a fairy party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and uh and I've been thinking about treasure the same way. Like who doesn't wish that they would just sort of stumble upon treasure or they'd follow this series of clues and there'd be something special at the end. Like I think that that is sort of this like universal desire. I don't know.
Mm.
I watched a lot of treasure movies as a kid. And I thought that treasure hunts and quicksand would both be bigger parts of adulthood. But I've been thinking about all of these artworks that I've created and other media that I want to play with and things that I can do in bed. This is a adjustable bed, like a
Mhm.
hospital bed. I have a little remote that can make it sit and lay down, which supports my body much more than sitting at a desk
Yeah.
does. So I do most of my work on there's like a little hospital bed table
Hmm.
that I work on. And so I I want to focus more on the narrative and the craftsmanship
Yeah.
than the in-person appearance.
Hmm.
Because if I create these treasures and write stories about them or write clues to find them, um, and then I can go hide them when I'm feeling good enough to do so,
Yeah.
then that's something that's much more in line with my physical needs, but still feels very Wondersmith,
Yes.
fun and playful and kind of um, subverting the ordinary.
Yeah. Yeah. So even just preparing and tinkering the experience from the confines of your bed, it already sparks joy. I can see it in your eyes. I can,
Yeah.
I think your body resonates with that kind of work. And that is what you are to do on this earth, right? So you can't not do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing that you have found ways to do it despite the limitations that you are experiencing from your body, and that you will create no matter what. And you will also spread this and share how to do gatherings or how to build experiences that matter, that strangers can meet in, that they can have a meaningful experience in, and experience connection as well. I think that's beautiful that you offer guidelines for this, because I'm sure there are many people, and I see this on your Patreon page as well. There are many people who'd like to learn how, but there's no school for creating Wondersmith activities. Well, there is now. So, and I think Wondersmithing is just a beautiful verb that all of us should learn at some point. How do we create celebrations that really spark joy and that really fuel connections between people and yeah, like change the ordinary into something extraordinary. So I think, yeah, that's it's such a beautiful mission.
Yeah, I think another big part of sort of this era that I'm transitioning into is education is
Mhm.
I've been doing these crazy events for a decade. I've learned a lot doing them.
Yeah.
And I I love being able to share like how to create gatherings that are more meaningful with your friends.
Hmm.
So not just like here's how to throw a party for strangers, but like here's how to add that depth, add that like surprise element and that wonder element um, to any size gathering
Yeah.
with any purpose.
Yeah.
Uh, so I've been sharing a lot of tips over on the Patreon page and on social media. And I would love to eventually write a book about gatherings.
Yeah.
I'm working on my first book right now.
Okay.
Um, and I'm really excited about it. In the process of finishing up my book proposal with my agent, and then we're gonna start, querying editors. I'm learning a lot about the publishing process as I go.
A whole new world, right? The publishing
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
Yes.
But in our interview, when I was meeting this agent and deciding whether we should work together, she asked, like, do you have other ideas? Do you have other things you want to write about? And I was like, do I ever?
How long do you have, for this
Yeah.
book?
I was
Yeah.
like, you better watch out what you ask for because
Very cool.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I loved that she asked that question and that the media management agency she works for is interested in building, a career with a writer, not just a
Yeah.
book.
Right.
So
Oh, beautiful. So do you feel there's enough reciprocal, I don't know, give and take for your situation as well in writing the book? This is not just a get this out as soon as possible type of project. This is a work of art and it takes time and dedication and thoughtfulness and also enough good health to be able to do this. So how do you feel this is going?
I feel like it's going really well so
Mm,
far. I mean,
mm,
we haven't signed with a publisher yet, so I don't know what it's going to be like working with editors.
yeah.
But I know a lot of authors, say that they don't like working with the editors.
Mm,
And I'm actually kind of excited about it because something I really miss about art school is the like constructive critique.
yes.
Um, and
Yeah.
I think that that critique works if you trust that someone has your best interests at heart. Like
Yes.
I had a very small class. The year that I was majoring in glass blowing, there
Hmm.
were only 8 of us in our year, so it
Hmm.
was really tiny. And we knew each other really well. We knew what kind of art each other made, what our values were, how those came through, what our interests were. So when we'd have a critique, it felt like getting um, different perspectives applied from people that really understand you as a person.
Mm. Wow. Yeah.
And so, the suggestions, some of them you're like, oh, that's a really good idea. I never
Yeah.
would have thought of that. And some of them you're like, I don't think that really quite fits me. And you
Hmm.
kind of, you take what fits.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of mine who's an author. He writes fiction, but he was saying like, I don't understand why people are so afraid of editing because like I love it. There are these people whose jobs are to make me sound good,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
make me sound smart.
Yeah.
They're offering suggestions on an industry that I don't know anything about. And that's kind of how I'm feeling is
Yeah.
like, My sort of secret dream is I want my book to be in cute little gift shops and people
Mm,
to stumble upon it on
yes.
vacation.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, like there's all of these whenever my wife and I travel, we always go to like the local bookstore, and
Mm,
it's sort of like how we get a read on the place.
yes.
So we go to a lot of little indie bookstores and like cute gift shops.
Oh,
And that's my dream, is like to see it show up in like my favorite gift shop on the coast, or
oh,
like the store that we go to on dates to just like look around because
yeah,
everything is great.
yeah.
Um, I remember this moment in our interview where the agent said, "Okay, I know this sounds weird,
Hmm.
and it's probably not what most people expect to hear, but I could really see your book doing well in the gift market."
Mm.
I was like, yes, yes, that exactly.
Oh, so great. I love that maybe the book has a mind of its own. It might want to be in certain places. It might want to fly over to other countries, and this project has a spirit, has a creative spirit of its own. And I really love that. And I think it will really carry it to where it should be. Yeah.
I I mean it's another way of putting wonder into the world that people can stumble across.
Yes.
And more broadly than I'm able to do,
Yeah.
I'm having a book that's distributed widely just means that like more people can sort of stumble into this world that I've constructed, and
Yeah.
it's a really exciting prospect. I'm really
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the book.
Yes, yes, I am too, actually. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm also wondering something about how you mentioned having barnacles on silverware or glassware, I should say, and serving seafood. But I also noticed that in your recipes, you try to refrain from using actual seafood and you make a surrogate seafood or something that looks like an octopus leg but isn't. Could you share a little more about this idea that what kind of activism is in there or what kind of philosophy about the world is in there?
Well, in college, ate, I couldn't afford to eat very much meat because I was a college student,
Yeah.
but that was part of my diet. So cooking seafood felt normal. And then at some point, I was really interested in creating like beautiful vegan dishes
Mm,
because of the creative challenge.
yeah.
I think I was seeing these kind of sad like lentil loaf things for
Yes,
and they just don't have sort of the gravitas of like a big roast turkey.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I felt like it was more interesting to cook vegan and vegetarian dishes, especially um main dishes.
Hmm.
And meanwhile, I've been really inspired by my sister,
Mm,
actually. She she went vegetarian and then she went vegan, and talking to her about those changes and why she made them, and sort of the heart of it.
mm,
Um, it made a lot of sense to me that she went i- down that path.
yeah.
She has always been just like the softest heart, especially about animals.
Mm,
And so, I think that feeling of just of trying to be a little gentler on the world, and a little bit kinder to other inhabitants of it,
yeah.
um, has been part. And then the other really big part is inclusivity.
Hmm.
You I haven't eaten in 5.5 years, I think.
Wow. So do you get some enjoyment from seeing other people eat what you've prepared or just
Absolutely.
enjoying food in general? Like, do you get some sense of what it's like through watching?
Yeah, I thought that when I got my line placed and stopped being able to eat, that I that my interest in preparing food would go away.
Hmm.
And I think it's actually maybe even stronger than it was because now food has taken on this sort of precious quality to me,
Yeah,
of
like a
like,
treasure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I still really enjoy the process of cooking. I'm very engaged with all of my senses. I love like, opening the oven and having that like fresh bread smell hit you and
Yes.
chopping herbs and like the satisfying crunch of like chopping something else.
Yes.
Um, it's a, I love being alone in the kitchen on a quiet day and just like being fully immersed.
Yeah.
But then we have like a taste testing time,
Hmm.
and I usually invite some family members over, and of course my wife, and I ask them a whole bunch of questions. And I ask them to use as many adjectives as possible to describe the experience because, I want to make sure that if I'm putting a recipe in a book that it's really a good recipe. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and so they know the standard and they're very honest with me, especially
Mm.
my wife. Like
Okay.
if she doesn't like something, she will tell me. My sense of smell has grown stronger.
Yeah.
So being able to sort of smell how things go together. And then that, I remember a lot of just sort of more intuitive cooking knowledge
Mm.
from back when I could taste things.
Yeah.
And the combination of the two, I think, still works pretty well in recipe development.
Oh.
The only thing that I struggle with is like the sweet, salt, spicy, sour balance.
Mm.
It's like you can't smell if a dish is salty enough, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, I added a bunch of miso to this and
Yeah.
that's salt. So I
Hmm.
probably shouldn't add more salt.
Right.
But that's when I need like specific feedback. Like,
Yeah.
how spicy is it though?
Right. I love how you really have cultivated your sense of smell, or it has really opened up or expanded more because of your lack of taste, because you cannot go and taste it.
Mhm.
But even like a little lick or something, you can't do that.
I get that question a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
That was something I used to be able to do a little bit.
Mm,
Um, but anything that has any fat in it whatsoever,
mm,
my stomach cannot handle it.
mm,
And I've found that the urge to swallow is so strong. Like I'm still
mm.
hungry. I
Yeah,
still
of
would
course.
love to eat the food. Like I
Yeah,
don't look at food and feel ambivalent, I'm
mm,
like, I would love to dig that into that.
yeah,
And I still get cravings. So when I put something in my mouth,
yeah.
uh, not swallowing is really hard.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
And even if just a little bit goes down,
yeah.
even if I manage to spit most of it out, like even if just a tiny bit goes down, it's excruciating pain for days. So,
Oh, gosh, yeah. It's not
um,
worth it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just not worth it.
I really love what you create, and I'd love to taste it one day. And you've actually inspired me to go into cooking more because I was I'm very practical with things, so I don't love cooking. It's just something you have to do. But now I pay much more attention to the color of the vegetable or the beautiful flower that appears when you cut through the middle. There's patterns there that I've never really realized. So just it opens your awareness if you're more present to cooking, and you've really inspired that. So thank you for that.
For that, I think, um, I think because food is so sacred to me, and because I love foraging.
Yeah,
When you forage your own food, you have a very different relationship to it, or at
yeah,
least I do,
yeah,
than something from the grocery store. And I've always felt like I owe it to the food to be present with it.
yes,
Um, and especially if I've spent a day gathering something, like I don't want to waste it. I don't want to, you know, just sort of throw it in something. I want it to be something special because it feels special.
yeah. Yeah, I love how that really enhances the relationship you have with food when you foraged it and when you've spent time in the place where it came from. where it grew and where its home was. So cultivating the personality, I suppose, of the vegetable or the mushroom or the leaf or whatever is a way to really build relationship and presence with it. And I really love that practice.
I I've been into foraging for quite a while, and that's another source of like wonder for me.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard this from other people too that I've shared foraged food with.
Hmm.
One of my favorite things a guest ever said after an event was, I cannot look at the forest the same after this meal.
Wow.
With every new plant you learn, you see it more.
Yeah.
And suddenly the forest isn't just sort of this green
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
It's all of these individuals and
Yeah.
all of these like friends.
Yes.
I love like going on hikes and seeing all of these like foods that I used to forage. And even if I'm not foraging that day, or, even though I can't just like nibble on things like I used to as I wandered through the woods, there's still that sense of bounty
Yeah.
and that like feeling like the world is full of wonders and it's full of of bountiful beauty
Mm.
rather than emptiness or like
Yeah.
scarcity.
Yes. That whole
That's
mindset, like having
yeah.
a mindset of abundance and beauty and things growing and willing to live. Life wants life. So
Mhm.
this is so evident in the forest, and yeah, learning about that by being in there is so beautiful, and being a part of it is also so beautiful. And I love how you include this in your teachings, I might call them. I was wondering, to close, is there anything you'd like to recommend to the listeners, or maybe an exercise you want to pass on, or something that inspired you, anything that comes up in you right now?
I think if I were to leave people with one thing, I would ask them to go on a walk at the pace of a toddler.
Mm.
Go really slow,
Mhm.
painfully slow, and see what happens.
Okay.
What you notice. See how it's different.
All
Um,
right.
that's something that I love to do because of wonder and
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to tell you one more thing
Yeah.
about like that feeling of bountifulness.
Hmm.
So this spring, I took a course on fusing soft plastic,
Hmm.
and I wasn't really sure what to expect. And suddenly, I started seeing potential for beauty in my recycling bin, in my house, when I go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I'll like if a product is very similar to another product, but one of them is it in a cooler bottle, I will get that one. Like I'm
Yeah.
already thinking about the life of that disposable item
Mm.
beyond like what it holds.
Yeah.
And it feels a lot like how foraging feels of
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, look at all of this bounty.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling that like even when I'm stuck at home and I can't go anywhere, I'll go like open the recycling bin and be like, oh my gosh, my family is putting this in here. You never find purple plastic. I'm taking that. You know,
Wow.
just the more you can kind of cultivate like seeing the potential of things,
Yeah.
the the more you are able to connect to both awe and wonder.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people respond to my event saying, oh, I wish I was invited to one of these.
Yeah.
I want to find an invitation. And I always just want to say, like, you can just do it.
Yes.
Like, if you want to live in a magical world, make it yourself.
Yes.
That's allowed. Like,
Yes. It's allowed. There's no sign saying you shall not create magical gatherings.
yeah. And honestly, being on the creation side of the magical experience, whether it's an event or a treasure or whatever, it's just as delightful as being on the receiving end of it.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you want to meet really great people, start throwing weird parties,
Yes.
you know?
100% yes to that. It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah,
So
I hope so. I like to think that there's a lot of ripples going out from what
yes.
I've done.
Well, the ripples from you back to the Netherlands have definitely arrived. So let's spread some more joy.
That's
Thank you so
wonderful.
much for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. This is really lovely. It's really fun.
And it's a wrap. Thank you very much for listening to the Oarcast today. My name is Dorchester Koning. I'm the founder of Oar Academy, a center for professional and personal development through training outdoors and with art. If you're interested to know more, look me up on oaracademy.live.